Nothing unsettles an avoidant more than the moment you stop abandoning yourself to keep them comfortable. You need to understand this because you may have been hurting yourself by constantly giving kindness, patience, and understanding to someone who only seems to wake up when their sense of control is threatened. The moment you stop chasing their silence, stop placing them on a pedestal, and start respecting your own worth, you are not necessarily losing them. You are changing the entire dynamic. You are not trying to hurt them, punish them, or destroy their spirit. You are simply refusing to participate in the story they created to protect themselves. That story says they can give you very little and still receive unlimited love. It says they can disappear when intimacy feels uncomfortable and return whenever loneliness catches up with them. It says they can be affectionate one day and distant the next, while you keep adjusting yourself just to remain close. For a long time, you may have unknowingly supported that pattern. You answered quickly even after they left you waiting. You focused on understanding their emotional wounds while ignoring your own. You made excuses because you could see their fear. You told yourself they were overwhelmed, sensitive, scared, or simply needed more time. Your compassion was genuine, but slowly, that compassion turned into self-neglect. Every time you accepted something that hurt you just to avoid conflict, you reinforced the same message: you can treat me this way, and I will still stay. But the change that finally gets their attention does not come from revenge, insults, or dramatic confrontations. It comes when your actions no longer support that story. You stop falling in love with their potential and start responding to their reality. Their charm no longer automatically melts your boundaries. A sweet message, attractive picture, or soft apology is no longer enough to erase everything that happened before. In the past, those small gestures may have made you forget your anger and hope that the person you wanted was finally returning. Then the cycle would begin again. They disappear when closeness becomes uncomfortable, return when they miss your presence, and expect everything to return to normal without truly addressing what happened. But when you stop participating, something changes. Their distance no longer gives them the same power. Their silence stops looking mysterious. Their inconsistency becomes visible for what it is. You are no longer begging them to stay. You are allowing their behavior to reveal their intentions. You are not chasing them into the places where they hide emotionally. You are quietly communicating, through your actions, that if they want access to your life, they must meet you with honesty, consistency, and genuine effort. That is where the illusion begins to collapse. You stop using their pain as an excuse for behavior that hurts you. You stop treating trauma as permission to ignore your needs. You stop accepting crumbs, unfinished promises, and endless maybe someday. And you do not need a dramatic speech to prove your point. Your changed behavior says enough. When they expect you to bend and you no longer do, they are confronted with something uncomfortable. They never actually controlled you. They only had influence over the version of you who had not yet fully recognized her own value. And you begin to feel that transformation too. You can still love them and still decide that you will not worship someone who cannot hold your heart with care. Part of you may still believe that if you give a little more love, patience, or understanding, they will eventually become the person you hoped they could be. But another part of you is exhausted. Exhausted from decoding mixed signals. Exhausted from asking for basic respect. Exhausted from explaining feelings that should not require endless explanations. Exhausted from teaching someone how to treat you while they continue choosing not to learn. That exhaustion is not weakness. It is awareness. It is the part of you finally saying, I cannot keep protecting their comfort while quietly destroying my own peace. When you honor that realization, they are forced to see you differently. You are no longer someone whose entire world revolves around calming their fears. You are an independent person with boundaries, needs, standards, and a life of your own. Then they face a decision they cannot avoid forever. Will they grow enough to meet you where you are, or will they remain trapped in the same patterns and eventually lose the connection? That choice belongs to them. You cannot make it for them. Your responsibility is not to carry them toward emotional maturity. Your responsibility is to stop feeding the pattern that keeps their ego comfortable while your heart continues to suffer. You are not destroying their soul by stepping back. You are protecting your own. And if they eventually choose to grow, their growth must come from their own realization. They must recognize that real love requires mutual effort, honesty, vulnerability, and consistency. You cannot force that transformation by loving harder. When you withdraw your energy, they may notice it before they fully understand why. Your attention may have become a quiet source of emotional comfort for them. The messages you always initiated, the long explanations you sent, the check-ins when they became distant, and the effort you made whenever they pulled away all created a sense of security. They became accustomed to believing that no matter what happened, you would eventually return. Maybe they even called you needy, dramatic, or overly emotional simply because you wanted clarity. But underneath those labels, they may have become comfortable receiving your emotional investment without giving the same consistency in return. Then one day, something inside you changes. Maybe it was the final unanswered message. Maybe it was watching them remain active while ignoring you. Maybe it was another night spent crying over someone who continued giving you only a fraction of what you deserved. Eventually, your heart says, enough. Instead of sending another explanation or asking whether everything is okay, you stop. You become quiet. At first, that silence may feel painful. You want to reach out. You type a message and delete it. You feel the urge to chase because your mind has become accustomed to repairing every distance between you. But underneath that discomfort, something powerful is happening. You are taking your energy back. You are no longer giving unlimited access to your time, attention, empathy, and emotional space. You stop trying to prove your worth to someone who has repeatedly shown that they are not ready to value it properly. Your own fear may whisper, if I stop chasing, I will lose them. But consider the other side. They may have become accustomed to believing, no matter what I do, they will always come back. That belief is what your silence challenges. At first, they may actually feel relieved. They might interpret your absence as freedom from pressure. They may convince themselves that everything is better this way. But that comfort does not necessarily last. When the silence continues and you do not return to restore the old dynamic, they begin noticing the empty space where your attention used to be. The emotional gap they once expected you to close remains open. They check their phone. They notice there is no message. They wait longer, still nothing. Eventually, your absence becomes impossible to ignore. They may revisit old conversations, wonder why you stopped trying, check your social media, or quietly look for signs that you still care. They may wonder what happened to the person who always reached out first. But remember, their first reaction may not be pure love. Sometimes what they experience initially is the discomfort of losing access to the attention, reassurance, and emotional security they once received from you. And that discomfort can become a mirror. For the first time, they are left alone with the consequences of their own behavior. They can no longer rely on you to close every emotional distance they create. Your silence does not need to be a weapon. It does not need to be punishment. It simply becomes proof that you finally understand something important. Loving someone does not require abandoning yourself. And once you truly understand that, the entire relationship dynamic begins to change. That is why taking your energy back can change the entire dynamic. They once believed that whenever they withdrew,
you would automatically move closer. But now they are facing a completely different reality. If they continue creating distance, you may eventually walk away for good. And the hardest part for you is not simply remaining quiet. It is trusting that your silence does not make you cruel. Your old habits may tell you that you are being cold, unfair, or dramatic. But you are not shutting the door out of anger. You are closing it gently because you finally understand your own value. You are creating a space where someone can no longer take endlessly from your heart while giving almost nothing back. Your distance is not a strategy designed to manipulate them. It is simply an honest statement. I am no longer available for inconsistency, mixed messages, or the bare minimum.
Whether they admit it or not, they can feel that change. They notice it when they think about contacting you. They remember that you are no longer doing all the emotional work that once kept the connection alive. They may pretend nothing has changed. They might distract themselves, act irritated, or behave as though they do not care. But discomfort often appears in subtle ways. They hesitate before reaching out. They look at your name without sending the message. They become unusually irritated when someone mentions you. They may quietly wonder why the person who always made the first move has suddenly stopped. The important thing is that you are not pulling away to make them suffer. You are pulling your energy back because you finally recognize how much of yourself you were giving away. When that energy returns to you, the emotional space you once filled for them becomes noticeable. What they do with that realization is their responsibility. What you do with the energy you reclaim is where your power begins. This is why boundaries can become such a powerful awakening. For the first time, you are not simply talking about what hurts you. You are changing what you will participate in. For years, you may have confused love with endurance. You believed that if you were patient enough, understanding enough, forgiving enough, or loving enough, eventually they would recognize your value. So you accepted delayed responses and told yourself they were busy. You accepted emotional coldness and convinced yourself they were overwhelmed. You tolerated inconsistency because you believed they were simply complicated. But every time you explained away behavior that hurt you, the message became clearer. I can give very little and still keep this person. Eventually, they became comfortable with the idea that whenever they created distance, you would work harder to close it. Real boundaries change that pattern. And boundaries are not threats. They are not emotional explosions. They are calm decisions about what you will and will not accept. Instead of repeatedly asking, "Why are you treating me this way?" your behavior begins saying, "This does not work for me anymore." That difference is enormous. You communicate through your actions what you are willing to accept and where you will step away. And this time, you actually follow through. A boundary might mean you are no longer available for last-minute attention when someone consistently makes you feel like an option. It might mean that after several days of disappearing, they cannot simply return and expect the same emotional closeness as if nothing happened. It might mean refusing to have the same conversation over and over when nothing ever changes. It can even be as simple as choosing your peace when taking some distance becomes necessary. But remember, the words themselves are not what create the impact. Your consistency does. When your behavior finally matches your boundaries, the old patterns stop producing the same results. They withdraw, and you do not chase. They become defensive, and you do not immediately apologize just to restore peace. They offer you the smallest amount of effort, and you no longer turn those crumbs into something they were never meant to be. Your calm refusal can be more powerful than anger because it communicates something very clear. You are not the center of my entire existence. My life does not depend on your mood. That can be deeply uncomfortable for someone who became accustomed to receiving emotional priority
while maintaining emotional distance. But boundaries do not only challenge them, they challenge you too. They ask whether you can care about someone without abandoning yourself. They ask whether you can tolerate their disappointment without immediately betraying your own needs.
The first time you establish a serious boundary, you may question yourself. You may wonder whether you are being too strict. Their reaction may make you doubt your decision. They might tell you that you have become cold, distant, difficult, or different. And technically you are different. But you are different because you are no longer the person who hides her pain and quietly says, "It's okay," when it really isn't. The version of you they knew may have accepted almost anything to preserve the connection. Now you are refusing to hurt yourself simply to keep someone else comfortable. That is not cruelty. That is growth. Boundaries reveal entitlement because they make access conditional on respect. If you decide you will not respond in the middle of the night after being ignored for days, you are not punishing them. You are showing that access to you requires consideration. If someone speaks to you disrespectfully and you calmly end the conversation, you are not controlling them. You are protecting your emotional stability. If you say that you cannot fully open your heart without consistency, you are not asking for too much. You are explaining what emotional safety means to you. They may feel uncomfortable when those standards appear, but that discomfort is often what reveals that the old arrangement no longer exists. They now understand that keeping you in their life requires something different from them, and they may not respond perfectly. They could become distant, test your limits, act offended, withdraw, or try to make you feel guilty enough to return to your old behavior. Do not automatically interpret their resistance as proof that your boundary is wrong. Sometimes resistance simply means someone is encountering a limit they were never used to having. You are not responsible for making that experience comfortable for them. Your responsibility is deciding whether you will continue shrinking yourself just to prevent someone else from feeling uncomfortable. Every time you say no to inconsistency, you are saying yes to peace.
Every time you refuse disrespect, you are choosing dignity. Every time you stop accepting emotional laziness, you are creating room for a future where love can actually meet you halfway. And that grounded energy can make you more attractive, not because you are manipulating anyone, but because self-respect changes the way you carry yourself. Anyone can chase someone who keeps running away. It takes much greater strength to love someone while refusing to stop loving yourself. That combination of warmth and standards is powerful because it cannot be controlled through fear. It can only be respected. If they eventually grow enough to meet you where you are, it will not be because you lowered your standards to keep them. It will be because they decided they needed to rise. You become powerful the moment you stop organizing your life around their distance and start responding to your own needs.
For so long, your emotional world may have followed their behavior. They pulled away, and you moved closer. They became silent, and you tried harder to communicate. They seemed uncertain, and you worked even harder to prove that you were worth choosing. Their inconsistency began controlling your emotions, your attention, and even your daily mood, and somehow you called that love. But deep inside, you knew you were caught inside a repeating cycle, a cycle where your sense of worth depended on how much attention they were willing to give you. The moment you step outside that cycle, everything begins to change. Not because you become heartless, but because you remember that you are a complete person whose life exists beyond this connection. Avoidant behavior can be especially confusing because it may offer just enough closeness to keep you emotionally invested, only to disappear when intimacy becomes real. Your heart then starts chasing the warmer version of them. You replay the moments when they opened up. You remember their tenderness, their vulnerability, and those rare occasions when they seemed completely emotionally present. Then you begin trying to recreate those moments,
as though enough patience could somehow make them permanent. But love is not something you should have to win by endlessly enduring uncertainty. The more you chase those rare moments, the more power you give to the cycle, and the less attention you give to yourself. When you finally stop participating, the pattern loses its strength. Their distance becomes information instead of a challenge. Their silence becomes clarity instead of a test. And for the first time, you are no longer asking, "How do I make them come closer?" You are asking the far more important question: does the way they love me actually work for the person I am becoming?
That is where your real transformation begins. You stop asking yourself, "How can I make them choose me?" and begin asking something far more powerful. Why am I choosing someone who repeatedly refuses to show up for me? That question marks the beginning of your strength. You reply when you genuinely have time, not because you are trying to create a reaction. You stop spending hours writing emotional messages to someone who barely listens. You stop watching their online activity and start paying attention to yourself. How are you feeling? What do you need? What is happening to your peace? Your energy becomes calmer and more grounded, and they notice because the old dynamic depended on your predictable reactions. They withdrew, you chased. They gave you tiny amounts of affection, and you turned those crumbs into something meaningful. They became uncertain, and you rushed in to reassure them. When you stop doing all of that, they lose a familiar source of validation. They are no longer controlling when the connection becomes close or when it suddenly disappears. They are forced to recognize that you are a complete person with your own emotions, needs, and inner world, not someone who exists to orbit around their moods. And you become more attractive, not because you are pretending to be strong, but because you are no longer dependent on their approval. You begin reconnecting with the parts of yourself that disappeared while you were waiting for them. You spend time with people who genuinely nourish you. You create, move, rest, laugh, work, and live without constantly checking whether they have finally messaged you. Your life stops feeling like a waiting room and starts feeling like home. And once your life becomes your own home again, anyone who wants access has to approach you with respect. They can no longer walk in and out whenever they feel like it. You become someone who can love deeply without losing herself. Someone who can care without collapsing. Someone who can remain open-hearted while still walking away from what repeatedly hurts her. That balance is powerful. Someone who is avoidant may be accustomed to two extremes: people who chase them relentlessly or people who completely shut them out. But you become neither. You are warm without being desperate. You are caring without betraying yourself. You are available for genuine connection, but unavailable for emotional chaos. And whether they rise to meet that version of you or remain trapped in their old patterns, you have already gained something more valuable than their attention. You have gained yourself back. Their attachment may deepen when they realize you are not as replaceable as they once assumed. In the beginning, they may have believed someone like you would always be available, someone patient, someone forgiving, someone willing to wait and understand.
So they treated your presence like something permanent. What they failed to understand is that every time someone takes you for granted, something slowly changes inside you. Not necessarily your ability to love, but your illusion about the relationship. You begin seeing the imbalance clearly. You are the one providing stability while they remain unpredictable. You are trying to create security while they keep creating uncertainty. And even if you still love them, you begin quietly taking your power back. Your mindset shifts from "I need you" to "I want a relationship that matches my values." From "you are my entire world" to "you can be an important part of my life without becoming my entire identity." At first, they may not notice. They are used to you being the constant. They assume that whenever they return, you will immediately soften and welcome them back. So when loneliness eventually catches up with them,
They may still believe you are only one message away. They might test that assumption. A casual, "Hey," a random meme, a "You crossed my mind today." Something small with little accountability behind it. They expect the old reaction. They expect you to become excited, emotionally warm, and instantly available. But this time, something is different. Your response may be slower. It may be shorter. It may lack the emotional intensity they remember. Or perhaps you do not respond at all. And that is when uncertainty begins to enter their mind. For the first time, they cannot accurately predict you. They cannot assume that you are still sitting in the same emotional place, waiting for them to return and ready to carry their confusion again.
that uncertainty can become extremely uncomfortable. They start paying attention from a distance. They may look at your profile, notice that you seem happier, and see you spending time with other people, creating things, growing, and rebuilding your life.
And one realization can hit particularly hard. Your world did not collapse when they walked away. You were hurt, yes, but you continued living. You started healing. You became stronger. They may begin remembering things they once overlooked. The way you listened when they struggled. The patience you showed when they could barely explain what they were feeling. The way you gave them emotional space when they were overwhelmed. The way you believed in them, even when they were unable to believe in themselves.